welcome guys, Ture Culture. I'm your host, Diana, and I'm here with...
AJ, entrepreneur, master barber. You can just call me like a jack of all trades, but I'm AJ from Ture Culture Management.
How are you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Pretty good.
That's
Thanks for
good.
letting us use your spot. It's pretty
No
dope.
problem, no problem. I appreciate you coming through.
Of course. So how did you come up with culture?
Well, it kind of started off as me looking kind of into the music industry and like seeing what it was like based on, and it wasn't really culture, and I'm kind of big on that. And when I looked at it, I just felt like the culture was kind of like misguiding the younger generation to kind of like do a lot of the wrong things.
Yeah.
So I just kind of looked at that, and I'm just like, we need to like find a true culture, and then from then I'm like, oh, true culture. I just kind of stuck with it and ran with it.
Okay, and with you saying that you feel like the culture was leading people the wrong way, what do you mean? What do you feel like?
I feel like in this day and age, like most rappers, I guess when they get the money or the success and say they make it, they don't really show or put the influence back in showing the younger generation how to keep the money and make the money. I feel like they just kind of show them how to spend the money. And it's a lot of drugs and just a lot of gang activities. I'm not gonna say I'm the perfect man, but for me, if you have a lot of people following, I just feel like what you're representing has to be more clear than just money, cars, clothes, jewelry, and women.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that because I feel like social media definitely has that big impact. Like you see everybody's like living their life up, they're lit,
Yeah, they
and
are.
you're like, okay, but what about the bills? Are you even
Right,
paying bills? Like everything else is
exactly.
like who? But no, that's cool. So you have two artists you're managing right now,
Yep.
correct? So how did you come up? How did you meet them, and how did you guys even connect?
Well, my first artist, Qual Mori, I've been working with him for probably about 8, 9 months now. We actually grew up together in South Carolina.
Okay.
Yeah, we grew up together. He always was rapping like since then, and I was never really in music like that. But he was always rapping, and I knew he had talent. I'm like, dang, this dope dude can rap. And then I started managing another artist, and then finally we just kind of tapped in, and he was making some music, and I'm like, bro, let's work, like let's tap in, and he was like, let's do it, and in like 6, 7 months we've been grinding, like going strong. So that's kind of how we came about. And then Young Tone, I known her for probably about the last 6 years. We used to cut in the same barbershop.
Oh wow.
And yeah, she kind of would be with me when I was with my other artists, but never really was like rapping. And then one day we went to the studio, and then she just rapped. I'm like, oh nah, we got to get you in the booth more often.
Yeah, that's dope. So why did you want to be managing artists instead of actually being in front of a mic or in front of...
And a lot of people ask me that. I feel like being a rapper, that lifestyle isn't for me. I just feel like I'm a not really like an antisocial person, but I don't like being around a lot of people. So the limelight and the attention for me, it would just be too much. And then, like I said, I feel like the industry is kind of shiesty and it's watered down. You kind of got to have one sound and present one thing to make it. So for me, I'm like, nah, I'd rather take the business route and help the rappers who aren't taking it serious, I feel like most of them kind of invest, but they don't really take the business part serious, and that's what comes with it.
Okay, so if you were to say like an artist wanted to come and work with you, how can they get in contact with you? What do you look for in an artist when you want to manage them?
I mean, honestly, for me, I haven't really been looking for a lot of artists, but I've been watching a lot of artists.
Okay.
And I'm just kind of seeing, how they move and the things that they do. And then I feel like if I can help them, I may reach out to them. I'm a humble person, and I like to network. So I might reach out to them and say, hey, if you want to sit down for a consultation, we can sit down and, I explain to you the things that I have on the table. You explain to me the things that you have on the table, and then we kind of see how we can make it bigger. But if they want to get in contact with me, I have an Instagram at Ture Culture Management, Facebook page at Ture Culture Management. They can follow me on there, set up a consultation, and we can go from there.
Oh, that's dope. So you also said that you do have you're more than a management for artists.
Yep.
So what else did you? How did you get into barbershop?
Yeah, I've been cutting hair for the past 7 years. So I started off at one shop and then ended up leaving there after like 6 years. And then my wife actually has a hair salon. I started working
Okay.
with her there for a couple months, and then I moved to another shop where Tone was working at, and then I was there, and that was right before the pandemic. Actually, this just happened,
Oh,
like
wow.
right before the pandemic, and the owner just actually asked me did I want to buy the shop or right before he left. So I was like, sure, and I took the opportunity, and yeah, I got True Culture Barber Line, just like 2 miles right from the studio.
That's so fun.
Yep.
How do you manage dealing, because we spoke earlier that you're married and you have a whole family.
Yep.
How do you manage business? Because I feel like your artists are your kids as well, because you have
They
to
are.
make sure that you're on top of them.
Yep.
Yo, you need to be here, here, here. And, you know,
Yep.
like we said, artists are artists.
They are.
They do artist
They
things.
do.
So, but how do you manage that? Your family, your music artists, your business?
For me, it's kind of hard to balance. I'm not even gonna lie. It's hard to balance because you're trying to sacrifice and work hard for your family to spend more time, but in doing that, you lose spending time with them. So I just try to, work hard, but I've been working smarter lately. I used to work a lot harder, like every day of the week, like 10, 12 hours a day. But lately, I've been just trying to cut down my days, and on the days that I'm off, just prioritize how to work smarter. And with my family, it's definitely hard too because I wake up early. My son goes to school, my wife goes to work, so the only time we get to see each other when we wake up, and then when we come home, we eat dinner, and then so it's hard to manage that.
I believe it.
But I feel like at the end of the day, there's an end goal, which is to sacrifice right now to
Yeah.
be able to spend the time later. So.
So, when you wanted to become a manager for these artists, did you tell your parents, and how did your parents take about it? Because, at first you're like, who are these people? Like, what
Right.
are you going to manage? I feel
Right.
like, well, how is
I didn't really tell my parents. I told my parents. Actually, my dad got me into barbering. Like right
Okay.
after I graduated, he was like, "Yo, you got to go to school or go to the military." And I was
Okay.
kind of cutting my own hair, so he was like, "Hey, it's a school right there." And I went and I did that, but I didn't really tell them about the music side because I know they was gonna be like, "Nah, it's too dangerous. It's a lot of stuff going on." So
Yeah.
I kind of just crept my way into it, and then once they seen it, they were like, "Okay, well." He's kind of in it now, and I wasn't the rapper, so I wasn't kind of in situations. I was just taking care of the business for the people.
Okay. So you're not originally from Atlanta, right?
Nah, originally I'm from Beaufort, South Carolina.
Okay, I don't know
Small
that's at.
town.
I bet, because I was like, I never even heard of it.
Yep.
So why come to Atlanta instead of LA, New York, all these other places?
Well, when I was younger, I was born in Beaufort, and then 2 weeks after that, my mom actually moved to Atlanta, to Marietta.
Okay.
Yeah, we moved to Marietta, and then in the second grade, she kind of got sick, and then we moved back to South Carolina with my grandmother. So we just been staying there with her, and then of course I'm in South Carolina with my mom.
Yeah.
My dad's in Atlanta, so I'm like I don't have the right guidance that I was supposed to have. So I'm kind of being misguided, and then she just was like, hey. Eventually, she was like, this is the best move for you. And it was the absolute best move that she could ever make for me. And, yeah, my mom actually passed like 3 years ago, so that's stuff that I be fighting through too, like a lot of stuff that's heavy. But I know her telling me to move to Atlanta was literally like the best decision that was made, for sure.
Oh God, because now I feel like you said earlier, Atlanta has a bunch of opportunities
It
and
does.
stuff like that. So with that being said, like, what would you say to somebody else, like somebody that wants to be a manager and doesn't know where to start, who to manage? And should you just manage anybody just because you want to be a manager for the artist, or how would you go about that?
I would tell them because when I started, I started with my cousin that was a rapper.
Okay.
And I'm not even going to say I was his manager, honestly. I was just investing money because I like to go to the studio and hear him rap and all that. And so honestly, the real truth, I would tell them to really invest in themselves first before they even look for an artist.
Okay.
Start their own company, start their own brand so you have something to market and attract artists. Because you can look for them and work with them, but if you don't necessarily have like a foundation where they're interested in, it's going to be hard to find that right artist to work with. And yeah, I feel like if you wanting to be a manager, yeah, you just got to invest in yourself first. For sure, at the end of the day, invest in yourself first because artists, it's a tricky game. So
I believe it. Have you had any crazy stories with any of your artists? or something you're like, whoa, did that just happen? Like out of the ordinary, or that you were never expected? Like, yo, or have a
And
fan do some crazy stuff?
any crazy stories? I've had a couple crazy stories, but that was with a past artist, and
Yeah.
yeah, we just gonna leave that where
That
it's at. Yeah,
okay, sounds good to me.
yeah.
Have you ever thought about being a rapper, or before you got a manager, or you actually got in the booth, started
I
spitting
have gotten
something?
the booth. I actually recorded probably about 3 songs, but I would never like. I feel like I would never like put it out and be serious. Like I'm trying to be, because it's
Rapper?
just not me.
Yeah.
It's just not me. I'm kind of like a low key businessman. So I love the lifestyle of seeing the success and everything. But I'm more of the business guy. Like, all right, we're making the money, so let's see how we can invest in something that's not rap. So when this doesn't work anymore, you can have something to fall back on.
Yeah. If you could choose any artist to work with, like any high artist, who would you want to choose?
Any high artist right now,
Hmm.
I'm gonna have to shout out my boy, and he's high, but he just started. So Fuego. He's right here from Georgia, and he just got signed to Travis Scott. So
Oh,
yeah,
that's my
hopefully
man.
we can
I hope
lock in and
nobody.
get something in the works.
Yeah, I don't think nobody knows Travis Scott's my boyfriend, but nobody knows. But it's okay. 'Cause, yeah, I'm in love with Travis Scott.
But yeah, check out
Why?
So Fuego, man. That's his new artist he just signed. He got a lot of talent, man.
I bet.
Yep.
If you could shadow someone as a manager, because we have coach and all these other people, who would it be? Who would you want to manage or shadow
If I could shadow anyone,
in the industry?
honestly, I follow TP. That's Jetson Made It
Okay.
manager. Yeah, he's a producer
Decent.
manager, but I think he used to manage Young Nudie.
Okay.
And I just like the way he moved. He kind of low key, not in the limelight, but he makes sure his artists have opportunities and
Yeah.
things going on as far as business. So yeah, I think TP. I'll probably, if I could shadow him, I'll get behind him and like, yo, for sure. And I like to learn too. I'm never
Yeah.
gonna say I'm like, no, I don't know. I like to learn for sure.
Yeah. Okay, that's so cool. Who else would you want to work with? Or if you could put your artist with somebody, who do you think would be a great fit?
If I could put my artist with anybody,
Who do you think like, yo, this is gonna be a hit for sure?
I don't know. I kind of want to do like a reggaeton
Oh,
song.
really?
Yeah, I want to do a reggaeton song, like, or an Afrobeat.
Okay.
So maybe Burna Boy. If I could tap in with him and see if we can pull off a hit with one of my artists. I'm not sure which one, but I would definitely be interested in doing like a reggaeton or Afrobeat kind of song for sure.
Okay, that's different.
Yeah.
Okay.
I feel like you got to think outside the box with the industry.
Mhm.
Got to think outside the box.
So what other do you feel like, how some people are like, oh, we have different lanes for artists and stuff like that. Do you feel like your artists have been creating their own lane?
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like a lot of artists try to mimic each other. Like even the mainstream artists, I be sometimes scrolling on Instagram and I'm like, okay, well you have on that outfit, and then I scroll and he has on the same outfit. So it's just like I understand the luxurious of spending the money, but when you talk about your own lane, you just kind of gotta go at your own pace. Even if you're starting from the bottom, or if you kind of got more leeway to more artists, whatever the process that you have to trust, you gotta stay there. So I feel like my artists aren't really looking for like that instant gratification. Like, they're willing to put in the work if it takes a year, 5 years, and get it like really out the mud. Not necessarily. We're not gonna chase no clout,
Yeah.
clout chasing. Everything gonna be straight, authentic, and it's gonna be real.
Okay. How do you feel like your artists are shaking the culture?
I feel like right now my artists are shaking the culture because they're putting out hot music and hot videos. We actually got another little event and photo shoot going on today right after this. So
Okay.
I just feel like we putting in that work. So when it comes to like culture and real music, we definitely gonna drop that for sure. And I want everybody to know, even the label and the studio, we haven't fully opened it yet, but we gonna definitely push out great music, great artists, and it's gonna be a business. It's gonna be straight for the culture. We're not in it to take no money. It's really to give back on my end. I always look at it like, I know the money will come, but for me, it's like giving back to people who want to learn and they want to grow. So that's how we gonna shape the culture.
Oh, that's fine.
Yep.
Do you feel like so what are your artists bringing differently to that music culture, to that specific genre?
I feel like as far as KO, he kind of has more of like a soulful raw wave, but still like a hard kind of like Little Dirk. So you kind of get the best of both worlds. And Mook the same. I was in the studio with Mook last night and kind of I heard, I'm like, maybe it's a Chicago thing, but the sound was kind of, so I'm like, okay, if they both coming out of Chicago and they got a certain sound, then it's definitely a wave in that. And then with Tone, she's actually a female rapper, so she's kind of like on the edge. So it's not really. I'm not even gonna say on the edge. She's kind of like on the. How can I even say it? I just feel like men in the industry, they underestimate women. So
Yeah.
you gotta like, she kind of on the proving herself in. And with her is she's giving out straight real music too, and she talented. Like she go in the booth and go off the head. So I'm like, if I can just kind of season her, get her a little better, like I don't know if the dude's gonna stand a chance for real.
Yeah, no, I saw her music videos. That was fire. The one you
Yeah.
sent me
Yep.
on IG, that was fire.
Cloudy days.
Yeah. So how do you guys come about creating music videos for these artists? Do you have any input, or do the artists? How do they become created?
I pretty much, that's another thing I do at True Culture. Like if you need locations, if you need cars, if you need models from old school cars and new school cars, whatever you need, like I'm like the plug for that. I got people hitting me every day for different cars, different locations and things like that. So that's another thing. I'm not just a management service. I kind of feel like you got to keep the network work open. And even when it comes to like videographers, cameramen, things like that, I'm tapping in with a lot of people. So the directing part, yeah, when it comes to that, I feel like the artists, they think one thing, but I kind of go in and listen to the music over and over, and then I just kind of envision how the video would go. And I kind of have some directing roles here and there. I've directed a couple videos, but I'm not nowhere near as good as the cameraman that's behind the camera that can see the lens. So.
Oh, that's dope. So how did you get into that? Was it just kind of put into your place? You're like, oh, I have nobody else. Let me try this out. And how did that first time
Yeah,
go?
it was kind of like, I mean, when I was working with my first artist, it was like he had great music, but you know, when we came together about the video, I'm like, just got to be different. So I just would hear it, and I'm like, yo, I see that in the video. And he'd be like, all right, bet we'll do that. And it just once it kind of came to life, it kind of matched the video. So I see that in all music. Even when I listen to other people's music that's not my artist, I'm just like, I see this in the video. I guess it's like the mind kind of already directing things.
Yeah.
So I just try to put that into perspective.
You're trying to do different businesses and
Right.
stuff like that. But do you see yourself actually becoming like a director, like just for music videos?
Maybe.
You take that as a-
I'm not gonna say I won't, cause I've directed a whole video, like
Yeah.
3 of them.
Okay.
I've directed like 3 entire videos from top to bottom. So I feel like maybe one day you never know, you might can book me to direct a video.
That's fine. So what else do you do in the True Culture?
Under True Culture, right now it's just a barbershop, and then it's the studio that we're in right now. So that's kind of what I'm trying to kind of keep my hands on. I want to juggle a lot of other things, clothing lines, shoe store, and other things, but I'm trying to kind of balance out the two because it's already a lot. So yeah, right now it's my barbershop that's full flourishing, like 2 miles from down the street from here, and then the studio we trying to get it rocking for sure.
Okay, so what are your goals for this year, for the rest of the year?
Honestly, I wrote down like some goals in January, right? And I just had posted this like a week ago. I wrote down probably like 12 goals in January, and I got like this planner. And then I was like working hard, of course, and not working smart. But when I went back, like I kind of checked off like almost 70% of my goals that I had written down for the new year. But I guess I want to just continue to grow as a businessman, as an entrepreneur, and I definitely want to possibly open up another barbershop in the next maybe year, and possibly open up another studio in the next year. But right now, I'm just trying to balance those two, the ones that's on the plate right now.
That's fine. So what can we expect from your artists this year?
Mook actually just dropped a video on Monday. Hellhole is out on YouTube right now. KO is supposed to be dropping an EP coming up in the next 2 months. So
okay.
Yeah, we're recording that and shooting some videos. We actually about to leave here and go do some photo shoot and do some content for that. And yeah, Tone is probably gonna drop another single in probably like the next 2 weeks. We just still kind of working and making sure we do it right. And yeah, that's about it. We trying to move up the food chain, but we're gonna trust the process and take it as it comes. We're not trying to bite off more than we can chew.
Hey, that's always the best way to go, and I feel like a lot of people don't think about it like that. They're
Nah,
like,
they
"Yo,
don't.
this one single is gonna hit, or this one music
Yeah.
video," and it's just like, no, it's
Nah, you
really a
gotta
whole
keep grinding. It's a process. Yes, it
Whole
is.
process. No, that's dope. So, where can we find you at and your artist?
You can find me on Instagram at True Culture Management and my barbershop at True Culture Barber Lounge. You can follow my artist at Young Tone. That's YUNG_Tone with 2 E's. Kwamari, that's KWA_OMARI. And Mook Famous on Instagram. They all got some hot stuff dropping soon.
I'm excited to see that.
And I appreciate you coming out and
No,
giving
I
me this
appreciate
opportunity
you
for
for
sure.
this time
Absolutely.
and space. Really
Absolutely.
appreciate it.